everybody. Welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
That's a great start. I love it. Camera was on me for the podcast people. There you go, super producer Jason. Hey guys, this is episode 245. Thank you so much for joining us. A couple things. First of all, yes, my voice is a little bit hoarse. I spent the entire weekend cheering for the 12UA Tri-Valley Blue Devil / Bulls. They did a fantastic job, but my voice is pretty much shot. I apologize. But
I don't want to hear about freaking Fragile, okay?
You don't have to hear about it anymore. That's the only time I'm bringing it up. But the San Jose Sharks are actually playing a game right now against the LA Kings in LA. It's intermission for the second period.
I would say that they participated in a game.
They are there, okay? They're at the game. I don't know you could say that they're playing it really, but they are getting thumped. Last we checked, it was, 6-1?
It is 6-1,
Yeah,
yes.
6-1. So they are now at intermission. Aaron actually has the, what do you call this, the tracker?
Game Center?
The Game Center tracker, whatever it is, on there. And instead of showing the players, it actually is showing the Zambonis and the path that the Zambonis are taking, which is fantastic. Attention to detail.
Yes.
Well done, NHL. And Nick just put something on the screen. I didn't get a chance to read that. Aaron, did you catch what that was?
We have more points in the standings than last year's team, which is a new record. Congratulations, Sharks.
Great.
I mean, I was hoping, right? Building blocks. It was a low bar from last year.
Sure.
It would have been really bad if they were the same as last year, which they're very close.
Yeah.
But, glad that they surpassed that with still a couple weeks to go. So only going to build on that, hopefully.
Yeah. No, and again, we talked about the Sharks getting to 20 wins or 21 wins or whatever we said. I think 20 was the mark that we were hoping that they would hit. Obviously, if you've been watching it throughout the week, yes, they hit the 20-win mark. I said that they were going to hit the 21-win mark at the end of the week. I'm still not wrong. They could score 6 more goals in a row here in the third period. Yeah. It's not going to happen. But I still think that they get at least to 21. We have enough games left. I can't imagine we lose every single one of them straight. Come on.
No, but 21, yeah. Maybe 22 or 23.
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
see. It'll be close. It's actually kind of close with Chicago.
Yeah?
Like, we could surpass, the Sharks could surpass Chicago in the bottom of the standings.
Okay.
Which wouldn't be ideal because what's the point? So
Yeah.
they're not the worst team in the league by a point, but then you lose out on possibly, they're only 2 points behind Chicago with 2 games in hand. So
I think, though, that as there isn't really like a consensus number one, being the number 2 pick is not going to be the worst thing in the world, right? Like last season, that would have been devastating, right? To not get Celebrini.
You don't think number 2 is kind of poopy to have?
Poopy? Why? Why? Oh,
number 2.
Number 2. Okay.
Wow.
There you go. No, I thought you had some inside information on one of the prospects at number 2 there, but I guess not. We're just making poop jokes now.
Just absolutely freaking embarrassing.
Anyway, if you guys are on the stream and on the podcast, you'll notice that I've got my phone set up here. I am having the game right here in front of me, so when that goes on, hopefully I get a couple live updates and I can maybe share them with you guys. But obviously we can't show that to you. That's a big no-no on YouTube. So, Aaron, why don't we just jump into this past week here, talk about the games. Yeah,
start with the good and go to the ugly.
A little bit of good news, yeah. The Sharks played the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, I want to remind everybody here about my reckless optimism, saying that, yes, the San Jose Sharks are going to beat this team, this Eastern All-Star team. This roster is just goofy. Their power play, I think they said it was disgusting. Like $50 million on the ice at once.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It's more than half the cap space for a team.
Yeah. So absolutely ridiculous. We have no business beating this team, but don't tell the Sharks that. They come out and they get a 6-5 shootout win. Aaron doesn't like that it's considered a win.
It's a skills competition.
It is, yes.
But they won with more skill than the $50 million power play unit,
I'll take
apparently.
That. I am more than happy with that result there. So I'm calling it a win. I could care less. Colin Graff gets a shorty in this game. Again, this is that guy who's put the work in at the AHL level, worked on his craft. They wanted him to be better on the PK so that they could use him there. He honed that in, doing a fantastic job at the NHL level now, right? And he picks up a shorthanded goal here. I really like his game. Is very complete. He does a little bit of everything. Kind of reminds me of the skill set of a Logan Couture, right? A full 200-foot player. The guy can put the puck in the net, but he's the guy that you call on for the PK stuff as well to be good defensively. I think in the next game, which we'll talk about in a minute, I think in the next game he actually had the most time on ice among any forwards in the first period, which says a lot in terms of the trust that Ryan Warsofsky has in this great new young talent for the Sharks here.
His hockey IQ is off the charts. So this kid is very smart. Friend of the show as well. You can go back and watch the interview that we had with him during the not All-Star break, but the Four Nations Cup break. Good guy, and it's crazy to think that a year ago he was in college playing, and right now he's in the NHL scoring shorthanded goals. The first time in, how many was it? That stat, was it 17 years since a Sharks rookie had scored a shorthanded goal or something?
Is that right?
Because there's just not a lot of rookies that play penalty kill, and especially ones that are good enough to get a goal. So it's kind of a rare stat, kind of cool. But yes, a very smart player, very well trusted by the staff. Both the Barracuda level, they had him work on honing his craft at the Barracuda in the beginning of the season. He did exactly what they wanted. I feel like every time they went back to him and said, do this, work on that, he did it.
Absolutely.
And he's gotten rewarded. And not in the sense of he didn't earn it. He absolutely earned it and has done everything that they've asked of him. And it's all coming together. And he's becoming a really complete player, like you said, a 200-foot player. Someone that is, in the future, in the coming years, he's going to be that trusted guy who's going to be on the ice when the Sharks have a lead to hold that lead. Or even on the ice when they don't have the lead and they're trying to tie it up. It kind of goes both ways. So great player to have. He's going to be an amazing third-line player. Another guy that could chip in on the second line when needed. So amazing that the Sharks didn't even draft this guy. This is the guy who was drafted by, who was it?
I can't remember, but they never used him. And he's like, all right, fine, I'll just play out my years in college.
He was undrafted. He was completely undrafted. He never got drafted. So he went undrafted because he was so small. Then he grew in college. Imagine that, just a late bloomer, and ended up signing as a free agent to the Sharks. He narrowed it down. You can see our interview. He narrowed it down and chose the Sharks. So good on him for finding the quickest path to the NHL and actually doing it and getting there.
Yeah, no, doing something with that opportunity. You know, some guys trying to look for the quick and easy path, and it doesn't pan out. For him, this was the best path because, again, the Sharks have roster spots available for him to prove himself on. And even then, he spent a lot of the time with the Barracuda, again, honing that craft. They wanted him to be better on the PK. He worked on it. They said, we want you to start generating more offense now. He worked on it. I mean, what an incredible thing, really, to ask of a young player like that. Hey, be better defensively. Okay. Hey, be better offensively. Okay. It's such a swing back and forth in terms of what they want from the guy, and he's doing it, and he's proven them that he belongs and he can do it at the NHL level, not just in the NC2A or and stuck in the AHL like some of the other Sharks prospects are. I think a little bit stuck right now in the AHL, and he's worked his way out.
I mean, that also sends a message to the other guys, right? They see, oh, hey, Colin Graff was asked to work more defensively, and now he's getting called up to the Sharks and is staying with the Sharks. Now they're going to ask me to do the same thing. Oh, okay, that's my path to the NHL. It's no longer I'm the leading goal scorer of all of my teams leading up to the Barracuda. Now I have to figure out my game and figure out how to do something else in order to translate to the NHL because I'm either not big enough, or I'm not skilled enough to be consistent at the NHL level. Some of those guys are on the Barracuda and they're kind of stuck right now because of that reason.
Yeah. I mean, a guy like Gushin, for instance, you've said it many times, he's got an elite NHL shot. That's not enough, right? It's not enough. You have to do more. So hopefully those guys get the message and they can work it out. But I think for some of those guys, it's maybe just a little bit too little, too late. If they needed to change the scenery, the trade deadline would have been the best time for the Sharks to capitalize on that. They probably weren't going to get much for him anyway. But
CJ wants to know
if we're watching the game.
Well, where'd you get the hat?
Oh, okay. No, where did I get the hat? I got the hat at thefinfactor.com, and if you would like one, it's not exclusive to hosts, so you can go and pick one up, bang, bing, bing, on your own if you'd like to. Yes, thefinfactor.com. Please go check that out. We've got the hats, we got shirts, we got polos, we got all kinds of different stuff. We have apparently a picture of Vinny Desharnais to scare your neighbors off. I think that's a good deterrent. Some people have the ADT sign or whatever it is. put Vinny Darnay. This guy lives here. Okay, he's my roommate. Put that in your window.
Should be life size.
Guaranteed no break-ins. No break-ins whatsoever. The more you know. There it is. And actually, yes, CJ, I saw your other comment. I am sort of watching the Sharks game. It is down here in front of me, and Aaron actually has it on our monitor. Not real life game, but just kind of what's this called?
Game Center.
Game Center.
We can't broadcast it or even
Right.
listen to the audio, so because we don't have the rights, so we can't do it. So.
Yeah. So I'm glancing at the game. I'm not really watching it right now. You guys are more important. So how about that? There you go. Especially since the score is currently 6-1 in the third period. You guys are more important right now. So.
I wouldn't say I'm missing it.
You are not missing a thing, buddy. Not a thing. You know what? What was missing was Wenberg's 100th goal. He nets it in this game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Finally getting the monkey off his back here. I love that, you know?
Yes.
Do you think that was on his mind for a while? And maybe gripping the stick a little too tight, they always say.
Maybe, but I feel like his game is more of a playmaking style than,
Sure.
than a score, similar to Joe Thornton. I mean, obviously not as prolific as Joe Thornton, but kind of a playmaker, guy who sets up other guys and does a good job of it, pushes the play.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was so much weighing on himself, but obviously glad to get it done and over with and to move on to the next 100. The first 100 the hardest.
Yeah.
So maybe on to the next century mark here.
Go.
But it's more exciting to do that and get the win too.
Absolutely.
I mean, the win, the skills competition win. They basically
Knock
tied.
it off.
They
Come
tied.
on.
They tied. They tied and won the coin toss.
Hateful. So hateful, you know?
I hate the
Jeez.
shootout. I hate it.
All
I
right.
will say though, those goals were amazing.
Yeah.
Will Smith.
Oh, yeah.
and the shootout goals.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Just disgusting.
The kid's got some sick mitts, I'll say that. You know, you got to throw those in the laundry. Those are dirty. Yeah, just a really good job by the two youngsters, just putting it away, you know. So what you got a comment here?
Colton Beck just said, looking ahead at the end of the season, do you think Mitch Marner would be smart signing at this point? We are actually going to get into that later.
Yes. That's a little bit later on in the show, Colton. Please stick around for that because there is a lot of information that Aaron has spent a lot of time putting together for you guys. So, yes, please stick around for that. Also, Bree Jones is excited to make a live. Finally been a long time. Hey, thanks for being here. Appreciate you stepping in, being in the chat. And actually, if you guys can do the same thing and go out and get your Sharks friends and family, bring them in here. Also, Bree Jones says, I love my hat. Get comments on it all the time. Look, guys, if you want to get comments,
it's a
all
sharp
the time,
hat, man.
It is the sharp hat. I will.
We
say.
did not go cheap on the hats.
Not at all.
Oh, we didn't go cheap on anything, but
Yeah,
the
that's
hats
true.
are really nice.
I like how it's like it's puffy. It stands out
Yeah.
on the hat. You know what I mean? It's not some weird
stitching.
little print. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good thick stitching. So yes,
We went cheap on the waterbed. That didn't
we went cheap on the waterbed. Apparently, I didn't even know we had a waterbed. That was interesting. Anyway, so yes, if you'd like to support the show and get comments on the street from random people catcalling you, this is the hat for you. So there you go. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. Okay. So what were we saying? They blew a 2-goal lead here. Okay?
Yes.
Because the Leafs pulled Woll, their goaltender.
I was actually at this game.
Yes.
I got there late. I got there like halfway through the second period.
Oh, really?
It was a cluster of a day
Okay.
and night apparently. Anyway, it was a great game. It was so much fun. I got there even halfway through. The crowd was really good.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Toronto fans. I was actually shocked. So when they scored the first empty net goal to make it 5-4,
Yeah.
you see all the Toronto fans. I mean, at that point, I think some Sharks fans had already left early, so it felt like there was even more Toronto fans.
Yeah.
But when they tied it with 12 seconds left, it sounded like the Sharks scored a goal. It was that loud. It was incredible. I was like, oh my. These people Toronto fans were probably so relieved that they didn't lose the Sharks in regulation, because the Sharks only have, 10 regulation wins on the season? I don't even know what it is, but not that many. And the Sharks had already beaten Toronto in Toronto. So that's just an embarrassment for them to lose, right?
Yeah.
So the relief screams almost like they just won a playoff game when they tied the game in 12 seconds. It was unreal. But the overtime was great. And there's not even really any highlights of it. There was a lot of back and forth, and it was I think they hit the post or crossbar on it on 1 or 2 shots. So it could have been ended in overtime. But it ended up going to the shootout. And Georgiev, as bad as Georgiev is, apparently he's very good in the shootout. I don't know if you knew this.
I did not.
They showed the stats of him in the shootout, and he was one of the best goalies in the league in the shootout. Yeah. kind of crazy.
Over his, like, well, I guess it doesn't matter whichever teams he was playing for because there's no defenders in front of you. Yeah, so
it's just at that point it's one-on-one. So he's one of, I'm not saying the top goalie, but he was in the running of it.
In that conversation at least. Yeah, okay.
So that's kind of nuts. It's kind of like, I feel like Martin Jones was good back in the day in the shootout. I can't remember. But not so good during the game, but when it came to the shootout, not bad. Getting some padding the stats on the wins there.
Go figure. Take all the defense away.
Getting beat off walls.
Getting beat off walls. Fantastic.
Brag card. The overtime was amazing fun. Yes. Anyway.
Very good.
Good game.
So, after OT, we alluded to this already. Smith and Celebrini, just amazing shootout moves. Get the goalie sprawling, put the puck in the net, and Toronto just couldn't do it. I think they got one.
They got the first.
They get the first
guy.
The first shooter. One. Yeah,
and they scored first. Then the Shark. Then Will Smith scored. Then they missed. Then Celebrini scored. Then they missed.
Yeah. So it only took two.
Yeah. I don't know who the third shooter was going to be. It might have been Toffoli. I don't know who's coming out next.
Toffoli's a good bet. I mean,
they wanted the sleepover, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they wanted another sleepover. There you go. Yeah. Okay, moving on from this game. Unless you had anything else.
No.
Okay. No. Actually, on this one here, the Toronto game, it was just amazing how, again, when they pull the goalie, $50 million worth of players on the ice all at once. It's essentially Eastern All-Star team, and then even in the 3-on-3, it was so much talent. Because they're only rotating a handful of guys, and each one of those guys is incredibly talented. So for the Sharks to make their way through the overtime was almost more impressive because you've got such high talent guys that have time and space, right? And if you can catch them on a bad change or something like that, again, it's just another advantage to that team. So again, really good hard work by the Sharks here to stay alive, make it to the shootout, and get the win, the W. I'm calling it that. Get the extra point. Okay, New York Rangers. This one here, we both thought that they would be winning this game against the Rangers, and we were both incredibly, hilariously wrong.
So bad.
6-1, the Sharks lose this game. Do you have
We just stunk.
we did just stink. Do you have anything to say about this game?
Maybe not this game specifically, but in general, I feel like after they win a game like they did against the Toronto Maple Leafs, kind of a David versus Goliath moment, if you will, right? Like, it's such an emotional, excellent thing for them that they get so high off of it, and then going into the next game, they just get destroyed. It's like they forget all the hard work that they had to do to get there.
Yeah.
They were just celebrating, like, I guess we're done now, like, and just take their foot off the gas and they're very undisciplined and sloppy play, and it's just because they're too happy about the win. I don't know if that's true, if it's like the carryover, but that's what it seems like all season is they can't string those together. They can't have a good win and a great game against Toronto and come out with a win, even though it's a shootout, then go into the next game and carry that over. They were so flat-footed and so just, I mean, that's the Sharks side. Look at the Rangers side. I took these notes down, I think, right?
Yeah.
The Rangers had just come through California. They went into Anaheim. Sorry, they went into LA first, and they lost 3-1 to LA on Tuesday. Then they go into Friday into Anaheim. They were winning 4-2 or something. Anaheim stormed back and tied it and then beat them in overtime.
Wow.
So going into, it's a back-to-back game into San Jose now. They're like, we need to put this away. Like, we can't let these points slip away because they're in the playoff race. And so they knew going into this game, like, even though it was a back-to-back for them, they had to get their legs moving. They had to take it to the Sharks right away. They probably had, scouted on the Sharks. You give them a couple goals, they're going to be done. They're not going to be able to come back.
Yeah.
So they buried them as quick as they could. You could tell they did not take their foot off the gas whatsoever. So kind of a respect to the Sharks because they knew that they could come back after 1 or 2 goals to really put it away, but they really need to get those points. And then they have a big break. I looked at their schedule. They had to fly home, and their next game I don't think is till Thursday. So they get a bit of a break. So push really hard. So you look at the Rangers side, right? Like, they need to get those points. They're just going to take it to the Sharks, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Then you look at the Sharks side. We just beat Toronto. Yay. This is a great ending to our season. And then they got to play the Rangers and get smoked.
Cam Lund gets his first game here, and in that game picks up his first NHL goal. So, again, the Sharks had just signed him, right?
Yep.
So he comes in, he gets a goal on the power play here. 2 minutes, 14 seconds left in the game to spoil it. So they were down 6-0. and Cam Lund decides, no, I'm getting my first goal.
It's fine with me.
We're
It's
doing it
against Shark Killer Jonathan Quick. So he was in goal that night. And he's having an excellent season for the New York Rangers. And probably it might be one of his last. He's getting up there.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like Fleury. Like
exactly, yeah.
Kind of ending on a good, still serviceable backup goalie. I mean, he's backing up Shesterkin, who's one of the top goalies in the league. So when he gets his time, he's doing it well. Very familiar with the San Jose team, or at least playing in San Jose. Maybe not so much the team. The team's very different from when he played when he was on the Kings. But yeah, I'm glad they spoiled the shutout. The goal was kind of a weird goal. Like, was it Graf was the one that had the puck and was driving to the net, and it kind of popped into his skates. Although he did see Lund coming and kind of kicked it to him, but also was blocking the defender and kind of screening Quick. But Lund just quick snapshot beat him over his left shoulder, I think it was, like over his glove side. But it wasn't even on his glove. It was like here. Okay. Like it beat him like right over his shoulder. So just a quick shot, great chance. And he had another chance earlier, or setup earlier.
Yeah, to Giles.
Yeah. And Giles, if it wasn't Giles, if it was anybody else, to Foley, a right-handed shot, right? He would have buried that. It was such a great play and set him up perfectly, but Giles just couldn't put it away. But great game by Lund. The future looks bright for the Sharks. Yet another prospect that is still, I would say, consider in the pipeline. I don't think he's going to finish the year on the Sharks. Yeah. But good for him to get a cup of coffee and to make an impact immediately.
Absolutely. And it kind of sucks because you want your first goal to be kind of a little bit more of an exciting thing.
He did not celebrate
He didn't celebrate it at all. You know what, though? Honestly, good on you, buddy. Like, it's, act like you've been there before. It's 6-1. I scored my first NHL goal. Yay. Grab the puck and we'll put tape around it, but I'm not going to sell it. You know who did, though, was Mama Lund.
Yes.
Yeah, Mama Lund was in tears, and that's perfectly acceptable. I'm not going to celebrate on the ice, but Mom's going to celebrate for me.
He did say his dad, I think, has a collection of his pucks from his career of all the places that he's been to, and that's going to end up in the trophy room at his parents' house.
Fantastic.
First NHL goal.
Yeah. The first, hopefully, of many.
Right.
But, time will tell. So. Yes. Okay, moving on from the Rangers game, we now have the LA Kings game, which is ongoing. But again, as of right now, at least, I'm looking at my phone here, guys. The score is still 6-1, so the Sharks have apparently stopped the bleeding in the third period. There's about 12 minutes left, and the shots right now are 29 Kings to 19 San Jose.
It is 4-3 Sharks in the third.
Where?
Shots-wise.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
I'm like,
not goals.
Where is it 4-3 Sharks, dude? Not in this game, it's not. Anyway, so we'll keep an eye on that. We're not going to do like full-blown like minute-by-minute updates, but if something happens and I catch it, I happen to be looking down, I'll be sure to let you guys know because that is happening right now. Notably here, Cam Lund took a penalty, came out of the box, and then scores a goal. So 2 games played, 2 goals for the young man. Love it. Love seeing it. This one was great because he was coming out of the box. He comes up the left-hand side and curls at the blue line, drops the puck off the Ferraro, and then immediately runs like this S route, right? He goes kind of like across through the high slot and then back to the far post. And Ferraro, good on him, rips it across there, and Cam happens to be right there, bangs it in, gets another goal. So again, the young guy getting is right now, like I said, 6-1. Sounds reminiscent of the Rangers game. He has the lone goal, and the other team has scored 6 against the Sharks so far.
Interesting note about Cam Lund.
Yeah.
He's only the 4th player that Mike Greer has drafted to play in the NHL right now.
Okay.
Celebrini, Smith,
Lund,
Cagnoni now.
Yes.
And Lund. And Lund's draft class was Bstead. That's when he traded down to get Bstead. Still no NHL games. It's also Havlet, Fisher, Bopit, Furlong, Wildoni, Barnett, Laubach. I mean, some of those guys aren't going to play in the NHL, but still, first of the 22 draft class that has made an NHL game. So, second-round pick of 2022, kind of a higher draft pedigree, very late or early first round or second-round pick, so kind of a late first-round pick, if you will. But this is kind of like the player that Chernyshov, right?
Yeah.
A late first-round pick, the very first pick of the second round. Kind of the same thing with Lund here. So a very, I won't say high-end talent, but a guy that probably should make an impact at the NHL level at some point in his career.
Yeah, and I want to say about Luca Cagnoni, I mean, again, we've said it many times on this show that defensemen generally take a little bit longer to kind of cook before they make that jump into the NHL. Now, I'm not saying Cagnoni is going to be an NHLer starting from here on out. Maybe next season they do have him go back to the AHL for a little while for whatever reason. Maybe, again, free agency. They end up picking up a guy that kind of replaces him and he goes back. Okay, fine. But when you look at, you said it was the 2022 draft class for Cagnoni, right? I mean, for him to be drafted only in 2022... Okay, he's a defenseman right there. You would think it would take us a little bit longer.
Cagnoni's 23.
23, sorry. Yes. So even more so, right?
Yes.
So 2023 he was drafted. My bad. And he's a defenseman, so that makes it even less likely that he would be stepping in right now. And he's 5'9".
He's the first defenseman of the 2023 class to get an NHL game. Not just by the Sharks.
Yeah.
The whole NHL.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go. So again, the odds are stacked against this guy. And just like Aaron has said, at every level, he's proving everybody wrong. No, I am him. I'm that guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm really happy with the way he's played so far in the games that I've been able to catch him in. He's shown, again, a lot of offensive awareness, mm-hmm. right? His ability to find that pass. I've also noticed his ability, his cutbacks. He had one in the game today, actually. He was carrying the puck in, and he had nowhere to go, and it's like he's about to get put into the wall, and he makes this nice little spinning cutback kind of move, which generally you'll see from wingers who are getting pressured hard because they're the first ones in the zone.
Yeah.
But I noticed that the Sharks are doing this lately a lot, where the defense has the kind of free reign to just kind of jump in right in the rush.
Yes. And
it happens a lot. We see Mario Ferraro down behind the goal sometimes on the offensive zone, I'm saying.
I like it because I think it takes the winger kind of on the other team.
Yeah.
It takes the winger who is supposed to be covering that point, kind of miscommunication. What am I supposed to do?
Sure.
Do I stay with this defenseman that goes all the way behind the net and get myself out of position? Or do I stay at who's the new point person?
Yeah.
Like, is it a zone defense? Is it man-to-man kind of thing? Like, and that kind of causes confusion with all the movement and all that stuff. But you have to have your wingers or even all your forwards, right? Being able to cover and being able to not be out of position.
They need to be smart, and they need to be defensively responsible. And, I mean, we talked about a guy like Colin Graff, right? I mean, I have Macklin Celebrini. I have no qualms with either one of those guys allowing that guy to rush. But they're too quick and too offensively minded. They're never going to be the guys that aren't part of the rush. They're going to be jumping up and in. Will Smith's the other one. He's always going to be jumping up and in. But I feel like Will Smith is because he's always cheating for offense, trying to lead the zone earlier than everybody. Again, maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe Warsofsky wants him jumping like that.
I think it is. I think that because they moved him to wing. Because when he was center, he couldn't really do it. But now that he's a winger, I think they're like, just do it. Do your thing. Because that's going to stretch out the defense on the other team.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to it. Quick question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Romanov? I'm getting a lot of these questions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Again, he's an AHL goaltender that's stepping in and doing the best that he can. Now, obviously, right now he's getting shelled.
But what do you think of his future, like on the Sharks or in general?
I mean, okay, so for me, obviously, it's Askarov, right? That's the future, right? In terms of the backup position, yeah, look, if Romanov does what any goaltender in the AHL should be doing, which is developing and learning and getting your angles down and getting quicker and et cetera, all those things, then yeah, absolutely, he could step right in and be a nice, good backup. But as of right now, at least, yeah, I don't think he's ready for that duty just yet. Now, again, the Sharks have money to spend, and I don't mean that as a luxury. I mean that as they have to, right? It's a necessity. They have to spend this money. So they're going to go out and they're going to get a bunch of free agents, right? And they're going to end up at some point paying the young guys the money that they deserved after their ELCs are done. But who's to say, a solid veteran backup goaltender to kind of help Askarov along the way in his journey through the NHL? Who's to say that a guy can't come in and get paid a good chunk of money and they don't need Romanov to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think right now, at least, my thoughts on Romanov are AHL goaltender, right? And potential to be an NHL backup. That's kind of my thoughts on him right now.
That's,
so, I don't know that they're saying kind of the same thing. But
that's, Kellen said, where is it? He's a good AHL goalie. Oh, okay. That was his response. And I agree. I think he's 25, so I wouldn't say he's super young. But for goalies, they really don't come into their own until about 25 to 28. I think a little bit later than any other position. Takes a long time. I don't see him ever being an NHL starter. I'll say that. I don't think he has the tools or anything else to be the starter. I think he could be a backup and give you a solid performance, but a backup for a goalie that's going to get 60-plus games.
Yeah.
So he's only getting 20 games, not 30 or 40 games as a 1A, 1B kind of situation. That's what I don't see him at. It will be interesting to see what happens this summer because it sounded like from you go back to Greer, I went back and looked at his press conference after the trade deadline. It sounded like he was trying to get a goalie. He was trying to get someone else because they knew they were going to be moving Vanacek and Blackwood, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to get another goalie to come back so that Romanov could stay in the AHL. It didn't happen. He said some of the teams that they talked to about it didn't want to mess up their tandem that they had already had established. So I think this summer we are going to see either a trade with another team or he goes out and signs a free agent. And some people are saying in there, Jake Allen's a UFA. He'd be a good 1B to Askarov. I think that's what we need is kind of a veteran goalie
veteran guy
who could help Askarov keep the weight off so he's not playing a bunch of games. Give him majority, but not, he's not going to play 60 games next season. He's going to probably play 50 at most. So, and we'll see how he does. Because we already saw him play this season, and he kind of tailed off towards the end and then got sent back down, went to the All-Star game for the AHL, and then he got hurt. And he hasn't really been back since either. So he's starting to slowly come back for the Barracuda. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a trade for a goalie, for a backup goalie, a well-seasoned backup goalie going into next season. It's interesting. There are a couple goalies that are like Fleury's going to be retiring.
Yeah,
that's in Minnesota. They already have Wallstedt coming up, and that was a goalie that a lot of Sharks fans wanted the Sharks to draft back in the day.
I remember, yeah.
And then so he's up and coming. He's kind of the same situation as Askarov, where his next contract, his extension's already signed, and it's an NHL level. So he's got a 2-year or 3-year contract already ready to go. So he will be in the NHL next season. So now they'll be down to 2 goalies. But it's just kind of funny. Like, there's only so many goalies in the NHL.
Yeah.
Depth chart wise. And how often are we seeing goalies retire? There's not that many. Fleury's one of them. Quick might be another one. Robin Lehner, but he hasn't really been playing for the last 2 seasons. Probably another one. There's just not a lot of vacancies around. So it's kind of a shuffling of chairs, if you will, around the league when it comes to goalies, especially backup goalies. Not so much starters, but backups. We'll see. Greer always says this every year. He goes, I don't know any GM that's happy with their goaltending other than the ones who win a cup. So there's 31 GMs who think that their goaltending is trash and they need help. So there's always kind of a movement of goalies around.
Which is funny because you just got done saying that they didn't want to mess up their tandems
going into it. The
other
thing he was saying was this year doesn't seem to be like a front runner that's going to be a runaway cup winner.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're in the mix. So I think that kind of made everything kind of stay put as well. So it's interesting to see the status of the league of other teams, especially the ones that are in the playoff position or trying to get into a playoff position. There wasn't as much movement as there normally was. Like Las Vegas didn't make any trades. Yeah. That was weird. They're almost always in the mix for everyone, right? And then who's the other one?
It's funny because it's like that's how Toronto is, right?
Yeah.
Everybody could get traded to Toronto. Toronto's looking to add everyone, right? But yeah, usually Vegas makes a big splash.
Yeah.
Pulls some superstar into their organization. Yeah.
So they didn't rock the boat
at the expense of somebody who has a no move contract
and then didn't get
July told
1st.
About it or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
So funny.
So
man.
dumb.
Dadnov, I think was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway, okay. Just a quick update for you guys. The score is still 6-1 with about 6 minutes left in the third. Shots are 31-22 in favor of the LA Kings. So that's, again, the game is still ongoing. Nothing has changed really score-wise since we started at least. Aaron, we are going to jump into Calder Watch.
Calder Watch. Let's do it. Calder Watch 2025.
So dramatic.
We'll get right into it. Still at first place, out of Montreal, defense boy, Lane Hudson.
I think his name is Lame Hudson.
Lame Hudson.
Yeah.
73 games played, 5 goals, 54 assists for 59 points and -9. Now, I did a little stats digging here. How many of those are primary versus secondary assists? Because we talk about this all the time. 23 primary. Sorry, 23 primary, 31 secondary.
Yeah.
So 43% to 57% split. To give you context here, I looked up the season that Erik Karlsson had, the last season he had with the Sharks, when he had 101 points.
Yeah.
He had 76 assists. That's a lot. I mean, Hudson's getting up there. How many of those were primary versus secondary? Do you know without looking at the notes?
I don't know.
Of the 76, 42 were primary.
Okay.
34 were secondary.
I was going to say, I feel like more of them would have been primary, though, because he set people up, right?
Yeah. He was doing everything on that year. He was the Sharks. He was the team. So, for all the people that are out there saying how great Lane Hudson is, mostly Montreal fans, I just love bagging on you because he gets so angry at it. But he has a lot of secondary assists, which, if you look at next season, it'll be a sophomore slump. Kind of happens to everyone. I'm expecting that for Celebrini as well. Yeah. But sophomore slump, and you see those secondary assists vary wildly. Like, all of a sudden, Montreal's going to have problems scoring, and he's not going to get those secondary assists. It's not predictable. Whereas, if it was flip-flopped, if he had that many primary versus secondary, it would be like, okay, this guy is really driving the play and doing it.
Real quick, you know who's not having a hard time scoring?
Who?
The LA Kings. It's now 8-1. CJ said 8-1, man. This is awful. Yeah. CJ, I think earlier said you need to stop watching the game because your eyes are going to be burning or something, whatever it was.
Man.
Pull the goalie for the last 5 minutes. Anyway, we're not talking about the game right now. That was pretty much over. So, again, Leighton Hudson, relying on secondary assists to get his points. Still, in terms of points per game, he's getting closer, but he's not quite where Celebrini is. And I think primary points per game even would be just a little bit more in Celebrini's favor.
It is.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Oh, you have this stat.
In seconds.
I did not know this.
Out of Philadelphia now,
away.
we have Matvei Michkov. Tortorella out. What does that mean? Matvei Michkov is going to do his thing. 73 games played. He's got 24 goals, 32 assists, or 56 points. 2 games since the coach has been fired.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been in the doghouse. Michkov went from 16 minutes a game to 20 minutes average. So he's going to get his points now. We're going to see a really tight race now. Back to a 3-headed monster of Hudson, Michkov, and Celebrini. His last 5 games, that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points in his last 5 games for Michkov.
Since the firing, he had 5 points.
Yes, 5 points in 2 games.
I mean,
yeah.
Do you think maybe the coach was holding him back? Jeez.
Yes.
Just bonkers. Again, fantastic for Michkov in terms of kind of this late push here in terms of Calder considerations, right? I think if they do look at more like the way that the season ended as opposed to the beginning, and they kind of take that more sample size there, having Tortorella not holding your minutes back and not stifling your creativity and not asking you to block shots all the time and being able to just kind of spring yourself and do what you do, right? Go out and score goals. This is definitely going to help his cause for the Calder consideration. But anyway.
The good news is Philly only has 7 games left. The Sharks have 9 games left. So 2 more games for Celebrini over Michkov. There's a chance that he could surpass him as well as Lane Hudson. So in third place, I just gave it away, Macklin Celebrini for the San Jose Sharks. 60 games played. Well, not including tonight. 21 goals, 32 assists, 53 points. Probably a worse -31 than after tonight. I don't even know what it is. I don't want to look. Yeah. It's ugly. So he is still leading points per game at .88.
Yes.
Hudson, however, is at .81. He's getting closer. But Hudson doesn't have a face-off win. Still.
Just saying.
Wolf. Wolf is doing his thing.
Between Hudson and Wolf, I don't think so. I think Celebrini, of the skaters, Celebrini is still, I think, the better, more well-rounded of all 3. Now, Michkov is going to be getting more goals and whatnot now because he's not being held back. Okay, fine. But I think the facts are that Celebrini at center is doing more offensively and defensively than either one of those 2 guys offensively and defensively. Certainly Michkov doesn't look like he's like a defensive dynamo, and everything I've heard about Lane Hudson is, he's fantastic getting secondary assists, but when it comes to the defensive side of the game, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And again, with the minus 31, we go back to how many of those are coming off of empty net goals, right?
Right.
And again, the plus minus stat isn't exactly the best stat anyway. So I'm sure they have other things that they're looking at in terms of like Corsi, Fenwick, those types of things. Expected goals or whatever else it is. I'm sure they're going to be looking at that type of stuff as well. And seeing,
I don't know. I think it's a lot of East Coast bias here.
Yeah, well, it's
going to
be.
Aren't staying up to watch.
It's going to be East Coast bias, 100%. But
Wolf, Calgary looks like they're probably going to be out of the playoffs. I think if they made the playoffs, he would have a stronger case. And now that it looks like they're probably not going to make playoffs, I don't think that's going to help him as much. And he's only at, I didn't look it up, but last week I want to say he was at 21 or 22 wins. If he gets to that 30 win mark and they get to playoffs, I think he would absolutely be one of the top guys in consideration. But I don't think Wolf is.
I want to pose the question then, because I can't see who it was, but saying that it thinks it was Hudson as the front runner here.
Yeah.
Explain to me why it's Hudson. Are you saying that because of just the point totals, or is it something about Hudson's game that is just so complete and so much better? Because again, when we take a look at the points, that's all well and good, but Celebrini's got a whole lot less games played as well. So when we look at the points per game, yes, it's close, but he's still above Hudson in terms of points per game as well. So I don't know. I think that there's just more that Celebrini is doing, and Celebrini doing it at a higher level. Again, we joke about the faceoffs because obviously he can't take a faceoff as a defenseman, right? I mean, he could, but I mean, you never have a defenseman taking a faceoff. So
yeah,
what do you
Lord Blackstrom? You need to dig out more on Hudson's stats. He's dominating the NHL in lots of advanced stats. I don't want to. I'm just plain say it. I don't want to. I don't want to spend more time on Lane Hudson. I just,
So here's the thing about advanced stats. They're all well and good, but it's pretty easy to also kind of cherry pick certain things. There's a lot of baseball stats out there, When you have, he's scored more goals than anybody else on Tuesday nights at home or whatever it is. It's like, who cares? Who cares about that, right? It's kind of like that holistic view. And personally, I would rather have a Macklin Celebrini on my team than a Lane Hudson on my team, right? I would rather have the guy that makes a difference from the center position, both offensively and defensively. That's me. And looking at the stats and whatnot that we have from these guys here, again, I think Macklin just seems to be the better player. Now, if you disagree, that's totally fine. You could pull up some advanced stats that would support your case, but I'm pretty sure we'd be able to find some other stats that advanced stats, whatever, that would make the case for Celebrini even more so than just the kind of basic stats that we're throwing out here. So I don't know. The way that I see it, again, I think Celebrini is kind of the front runner in terms of the skaters that are out there. Now, again, Michkov may go off, and if that's the case, and he's a 30-something goal scorer, and that's the thing that counts to the people that are voting, then sure, he's going to end up winning it, right? But I just think that when you look at a holistic view of what these players are, what they bring, their responsibilities, and how well they do those responsibilities, I think, for me, Macklin seems to be that guy.
Going back real quick, Michkov has, how many assists does he have? I was going to do the primary versus secondary assists here. So Michkov has 32 assists. Of those 32, it's 19 primary, 13 secondary. For Celebrini, he has 32 assists, 17-15 is the split. 17 primary.
I mean, pretty close either which way, but the thing is, if you look at like the percentage of it, it's still more in the favor of primary, whereas with Hudson, it's still very much in the favor, more so as a percentage in the secondary. Which isn't to say that secondary assists are meaningless, but it is to say that, you may have got it to the guy who got it to the guy, right? But I would rather be the guy who's driving the play, or I'd rather be voting for the guy who's driving the play more so, and the one who can actually play defense fairly well, even if he's not a defender. And again, by all accounts that I've heard so far, I don't watch Montreal's games, I'm just going off of statistics. It seems like Lane Hudson isn't exactly the best defense. And Erik Karlsson, Brent Burns, right? These guys are high offensive, talents who don't really excel at the defensive side of the game. So it's not like a huge knock on Lane Hudson because he doesn't play defense well. But when you're talking about who's the best rookie, I think you do need to look at it holistically. There you go.
There's our case.
There's our case. And it's not just Celebrini's complete game. He's also a leader even at his age. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think if Celebrini can get to that 30-goal mark, I think that really solidifies.
Cements it, yeah.
And Michkov probably will get there as well.
Yeah.
So then I think that's going to be a tough. If he can get that 30 goals and outscore Hudson, like get more points, I think he'll have it in the bag. If he doesn't, I think it's going to be up in the air.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to outscore Hudson. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think he's going to outpoint per game Hudson. I think he's going to hold on to that. But I don't think he's going to outscore Hudson. He's just got too many extra games played.
Yep.
You know? Okay, moving on. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
No.
Actually, you know what? There's two things I want to bring up about Calder Watch. Okay, one of them is we've been talking about if we go just a little bit farther down the list, we happen to see another San Jose Shark there, Will Smith, who is now actually in 5th.
Well, CJ wanted
but let's
to
not
know
take away. I know what's
if we had a graphic.
We do not have a graphic. Yeah.
We don't.
We do not. He offered, but we're too lazy to have him do it. I don't know how that works. But Will Smith sitting in 5th. Can you give the stats on Will Smith?
64 games, 13 goals, and 24 assists, minus 12. 0.58 points per game. That's
not bad.
For a rookie, that
absolutely.
Is... A rookie that's not Celebrini, that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. yeah, 100%. So offensively, again, I have my issues. But offensively, he's doing fantastic for a rookie in the NHL. So good on him. And the guy that surpassed him, though, the one that I still don't have a French baguette for, Cutter Gauthier. Can you please give the stats for Cutter?
73 games played, 15 goals, 23 assists, 38 points, and he's a +8 actually in Anaheim, 0.52 points. That's pretty solid.
See, now if plus minus was such a big thing, right? Would anybody be making the case that Cutter deserves to be in the Calder conversation?
No.
Right? It depends, right? Like, what stats are you looking at, right? So I'm saying that's why I'm saying holistically, looking at, he may lead in this stat and this stat and that stat, but when you look at the whole contribution of the player, I think for me, as the skaters are concerned, it's Macklin. So, but yeah, just wanted to throw that out there with the other younger guys. Yeah, the game is over now. Thank God.
8-1.
It is 8-1. Like I said, they stopped the bleeding.
Sucks though.
They bled a little bit more.
Celebrini did not get a point tonight.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
When the other team puts up an 8 spot on you and you only get 1, you'd be hard pressed to be one of the guys that gets on the score sheet.
We do have a question though.
Yeah.
Do you see Marner or is it Knees or Knees?
Nice.
Not even close. Coming to San Jose.
I'm guessing. I could be wrong, but
that's going to lead us into our roll call.
Yes.
Roll call. Tell us what city you are watching us from, and is there a UFA that the Sharks should target?
Now, Malachi obviously thinks that Marner or Nyes should be that guy that gets targeted. Here's the problem with Marner, and it's not a problem for the Sharks, but it just doesn't seem like it's something that Mike Grier would want to do. Marner's going to want money. Marner's going to want a lot of money.
I don't even think it's the money that's the problem. No, that's not the problem.
It's the term.
The term is the problem.
I think...
Because he's young enough that he could get a 7-year contract.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem.
So then the question becomes, does Marner see the future of the Sharks? Can he just see that and go, you know what? I'd be cool doing a shorter term because I know where this team's going, and playing with a whole bunch of superstars and a ton of money didn't work out for me in Toronto.
Depends on his agent. And if you think about it this way, I think he's 28. Do we have the UFAs? Can we put the UFAs up here?
Oh, we have the graphic?
Here's the top UFAs. I did the top 15 here. These are top 15 UFAs. Mitch Marner's at the top. This is based, sort of by points.
Points, yeah.
He's already at 90 points this year. It's crazy.
That is goofy.
He is 27 years old. So if he does let's say, we haven't seen Grier do anything more than 4 years. This is the problem. If he does a 4-year contract, that puts him at 31/32. He's probably turning 32 that age. Getting one more big contract at 32.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be getting a 7-year contract.
Exactly.
So, but at the same time, the NHL, the players had finally matched the escrow. So the salary cap has jumped significantly, and we're going to see it go up in the next years. Assuming there's not another pandemic that messes everything up and everything's on lockdown.
Yeah.
I think he could play his cards right. It's a chance. I don't think it's likely. I really think it's very unlikely that this would happen. That he signs a 4-year contract with the Sharks, So that way he can get his next contract, because at that point, the salary cap is going to go up even more significantly than it is now in 4 years. So there is also a cap for players specifically. You can only be X percentage of a full team salary cap to be like the top paid player.
Yeah.
Right? Now, Greer doesn't want to give out all these contracts. He doesn't want to be like Nashville. Look what Nashville did.
Yeah.
They added 3 top high-end guys, signed them for long-term, and they didn't even come close to playoffs. So that's what he doesn't want to get stuck with. He's even said it as much. I don't want to sign all these guys. I don't want to be aggressive at the deadline or at the summer, but he is going to be adding. He's going to be making some moves. Mitch Marner, as much as I would love to see him here, I just don't think it's realistic because there's so many other teams that are going to be able to get him. And it's not so much Mitch that will be choosing the Sharks. It'll be like the Sharks are going to give you a 4-year... I'm just going to throw out numbers. This isn't real. 4-year contract for $12 million a year. Or this team's going to give you 7 years at $11 million. Or this team's going to do 7 years at $12 million. Like, who are you going to choose?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At that point, you're not going to care about an up-and-coming Sharks team. You're going to be like, show me the money. I want to get paid. This is probably going to be his biggest, biggest paycheck. Or salary, whatever. Contract.
Yeah.
Thank you. Couldn't think of the word.
And we're gonna. I mean, you have a picture here with the boys, and you want to put that up now?
Yeah, let's see that picture.
Okay, here there's a picture here with Will Smith and
I believe
Macklin
this was
Celebrini, Austin
after
Matthews.
the game or before the game. I think it was after.
I have no idea.
I don't know
It must
either.
have been after.
But yeah, Celebrini, Smith, Marner, Matthews, Thornton, Marlowe. So for context here, Marlowe and Thornton both played for Toronto, and House both of them, right? Was it Thornton and Marlowe, or was it just Thornton that lived with him? Thornton lived with Matthews for like 2 weeks, but Marlowe was the one that was living with them when they were like just up and coming kind of guys in the league, and Marlowe was the veteran guy. So they still look like kids. It's so funny. at least Marner does. So this just fueled speculation that Mitch Marner is going to come to San Jose, right, in the offseason.
But that's kind of where I'm going with that picture. Really, is you've got guys in Jumbo and Patty who played in Toronto and know those guys personally, right? I always think back to that kind of one-on-one that Marner and Marlowe had.
Yeah.
And he says, if there was one thing you could tell me, what would it be? Is I just want you to know like how good you are and how good you're going to be and blah, blah, blah. And there was like tears between the two of them, right? So there's like a special bond there, I think, right? Excuse me. And I think that those younger guys like an Austin Matthews and a Mitch Marner, they look at Jumbo and they look at Pat and they go, man, what amazing players, Hall of Fame type players these guys are, but they don't have their name on a cup, right? And I think there's a lesson to be learned there. And not that they took a ton of money in San Jose and that's all they cared about. But if that's all you care about is how much money you can get paid, are you going to get that name on your cup? And is that going to be more worth it to you in the long run?
I don't think they're thinking that. I think every other team, literally every team in the league, is better than where the Sharks are right now.
Sure.
So if you have a contender team, let's say Colorado makes it happen because they don't have Ratton now, right? Okay. You get to play with McKinnon. Are you going to sign there? Or are you going to sign with Celebrini in San Jose?
But you just got done playing with Nylander.
It doesn't matter. And you still had, for Marner, 90-plus points, 100 points a year. Yeah. Now you're going to Colorado where you're going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I just don't see, to me, I think the Sharks are so low in the running for it. I just don't see that. And mainly because of the term.
Okay.
I just don't think Greer's going to sit out the term.
I agree with you on that. I don't think that Greer's the guy that's going to be handing out 7-year contract to a UFA just because. Right. I don't think he wants to roll the dice like that.
Now he does, and some of the chat going on there, that he does have to spend money.
Yes.
So with the salary cap going up, the salary floor is also going up, and it's up to $70 million next year. Yeah. So the Sharks aren't even close to that. Even with Couture, and I think this is why Couture is not retiring. They needed his money on the books. Because if he retires, because he signed that contract before he was 35, that will actually come off. So if he announces his retirement, that's $11 million coming off the books. That's a big chunk.
Yeah.
So this year, the Sharks needed that to hit that salary floor. I don't know what he's going to do this summer. I have a feeling it's going to be big. I don't think it's going to be Mitch Marner big. But I think he's going to be bringing in some guys. And someone else had asked, do you think... CJ, honestly, do you think the guys are ready to start adding big names, or are we a year or two away? Should we wait and see how the picks and prospects pan out? No. because they have to spend money.
They have to spend the money, number one. Number two, yeah, I think the Sharks are in a position now to start getting big names. I mean, again, you look at the acquisition we got from free agency last season, Tyler Toffoli. I mean, again, 4-year deal, right? So maybe what we're looking at is not a guy that's 28. Maybe we're looking for a guy that's 32, right?
Right.
So can we put that UFA list back up on the screen real quick?
Well, no. Well, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I just like to see this real quick. So we see Mitch Marner at 27, but you've got Matt Duchene at 34 years old, right?
This is where I think they could do the next one down.
Okay, and then John Tavares. You like John Tavares?
John Tavares, you give him a 4-year contract at, I don't know, $8 million?
Yeah.
$7 million? Because he's not, I wouldn't say he's an $11 million forward still. I think he would be a fantastic ad down the middle.
I don't know if you want to add a guy that's going to end up on his contract at 39 years of age, though. But
Who cares? At that point, he's gone, and you're going to be spending that money elsewhere with other guys for extensions.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind seeing Tavares. I wouldn't mind seeing even Granlund coming back because they had such fantastic chemistry.
I could see Granlund coming back just because he wants to be back.
Absolutely. And another one that someone said, Sam Bennett. That's another one I could see being added. Yeah. He's a younger guy. That might be also a problem with term.
Right.
But he would be a little bit more affordable. Maybe he would want to do that. But what I really think the Sharks need is a right-handed shot defenseman. What we got here?
Why not a hostile offer for Mason McTavish?
Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Oh boy.
All right.
Oh, because this is all UFAs.
This is UFAs.
Okay.
So
let's
still on UFAs. Wait.
Yeah.
Still
let's move on
UFAs.
to the
right-handed shot defenseman.
Yeah.
This is what I think the Sharks need the most. Here are the top right-handed shot defensemen that are UFAs. Neil Pionk.
I like the name more than anything. Okay.
Right. I can see Winnipeg's re-signing him.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be hitting free agency. I think they're going to re-sign him. Aaron Ekblad, though, they already got his replacement in Florida with Seth Jones.
Okay.
I think Ekblad's hitting the market, and this is a guy I would like to see the Sharks add.
Okay.
He is not the offensive juggernaut he once was.
Changed his game.
Yeah, he changed his game. He's much better defensively than he used to be.
Yeah.
I think that would be the right choice what the Sharks need. A veteran defenseman who is still, I wouldn't say elite, but he's up there in the league. Mm-hmm. Right-handed shot. They don't have a right-handed puck-moving defenseman, really. They're all left-handed. But someone who can mentor these Sharks. Yeah. Give him maybe a 4 or 5 year deal if he's going to take that. He does get hurt a lot, so maybe he's a little bit less. And he just got busted for PED thing. Yes. So he is actually suspended currently.
That's right.
By the league, and he's suspended up until like the first or second game of the playoffs. Yes. So maybe some teams shy away from that. That might hurt his value a little bit.
I couldn't help but notice number 3 on that list.
Go ahead. You want to go back to the list?
Can we go back to the list? Look at number 3 there.
Yeah, he's going to retire.
Brent Burns!
I don't think Brent
40
Burns
years of age. He'd do a 1 to 2 year contract.
Who's the next one?
Yeah, Cody Ceci. Yeah. I know. But I'm saying Brent Burns on another 1-2 year contract. The guy takes care of his body.
I'm not saying no. I just don't think his game translates well for the Sharks.
Does it matter? Does it matter? Really?
I don't
know. Okay, you talked about Macklin Celebrini and you talked about Will Smith, which I don't agree with, but you're saying that these guys are the guys that bring the money in, right? The ticket sales, right? I think you could do quite a bit with the fan base getting that nostalgia coming back. Think about the Star Wars films, the ones that sucked. They always brought back the characters, the nostalgia characters.
Burns is signing. He's signing. Burns is playing one. He's doing 1 year contracts with cup contenders. The Sharks are not a cup contender yet.
Whatever.
I just don't see it.
No.
I'd see him going to Dallas or Colorado or something like that. I just don't see.
But wouldn't it be
I would love it. I'm not saying don't. I would absolutely love to see
Wouldn't it be fun? That's all I'm saying. And again, if at 40-something years old, he's not going to get the term from anybody, but he might not get the money from anybody else. And the team that can pay him the money, right, to kind of entice him, that would be us. Anyway, go ahead. Keep going.
All right. Moving on to RFAs.
Okay.
Now, RFAs, if you give an offer sheet, you have to compensate the other teams. The compensation is kind of funky. So it's based on the salary. So let's say there's an RFA in the market and you're like, I'm going to send an offer sheet. The other team that currently owns the rights has to either match it or let them go and take the compensation. Now, the compensation, starting between 1.5 and 2.2 million is a third-round draft pick.
Right.
Going up to the next tier of 2.2 to 4.5 is a second-round draft pick. 4.5 to 6.8, a first and a third. 6.8 to 9.1 is a first, second, and a third. And the top tier, actually there's another tier. 2 first rounds, a second round, a third round, and then the biggest tier, over $11.5 million.
It's the Gretzky.
4 first round draft picks. Tell me.
But it has to be in the next 5 drafts.
Right. Tell me, Paul, how many draft picks do the Sharks have upcoming?
Yeah.
Super producer Jason, you mind throwing that on the screen? We have, going in, now it won't count for 2025 because the signings are right after this draft. So 2 first round picks, 2 second round picks. The problem is there's no third round pick. So when I was looking at this originally, I was like, "Ooh, yeah, they qualified for this." And Puckpedia does an amazing job, by the way. There's actually a section in here that tells you which team is eligible and which team is not currently, based on what draft picks they hold. The Sharks are not eligible for that 4.5 to 6.8 million.
Yeah.
Or kind of higher up until you get to that 11.5 million. They are eligible. I wouldn't say they're going to do that, but they're eligible for that 2.2 to $4.5 million range.
Okay.
Which is a decent player.
Yeah.
That's especially for those young guys on RFA.
It's an RFA. They're not supposed to be getting $11 million.
It's a bridge loan, or a bridge contract to get to their UFA status, kind of, right? Let's show the top RFA people on the list here. Here are the top. No. The top RFAs here. Velarde, Bouchard in Edmonton, Peterka, Rossi in Minnesota, Knies, is that the one you're talking about? Nice. I'm going to mess that up every time. McTavish in Anaheim. They could really mess them up. Now, the problem is Anaheim's not up against the cap.
Right.
They're going to be able to match it, no problem. Luke Hughes in New Jersey.
But you can make
is
them
interesting.
Match it. That's the thing. You can make them match it anyway.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, you can make them match, but then it's going to mess them up for something else.
Exactly.
Or you can strong arm him and say, I'm going to send an offer sheet if you don't trade him to me. Here. Instead of that, I'm going to trade you this. It spares you the embarrassment of losing him for whatever these other drafts. Who knows? Right? You get something for nothing. So, let's show the right-handed shot defensemen that are RFAs.
Okay.
Any names out there stand out to you?
Yeah.
Noah Dobson, to me,
Yeah.
is the one the most out of all of them that I think fits the Sharks well. I think the Islanders might be possibly moving. There was so many trade rumors at the trade deadline of Noah Dobson being on the market. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of them. And Evan Bouchard, I think you could go in there and offer sheet them, Edmonton, and mess them up.
They're hosed.
Yeah, they're screwed. So I think those top two, if Greer is really big money Mike, I want to see it. I want to see some offer sheets. I want to see him playing hardball with some of these teams, screw over some of these guys, and make the Sharks jump another level instantly.
How many times have we talked about, you could offer sheet a guy, but it just doesn't happen because the GMs don't like doing that to each other or whatever, right? There's still that good old boys network kind of thing or whatever, right? So they're all buddies still, and to do something like that with an offer sheet is kind of like a no-no. It's almost like an unwritten rule. Now it does happen, and that's one of the ways we got Antti Niemi was because we offer sheeted Hjalmarsson. They had to match that, and then we ended up taking Antti Niemi because they couldn't pay him, right? So yes, it does happen now and then, but generally you don't see offer sheeting happening every single year or anything like that, right? Mm-hmm. So this is kind of like one of those situations where it sounds really good. I just don't know how realistic it is.
I don't want to hear about freaking fragile, okay?
I also looked this up. Do you know how many offer sheets the Sharks have ever offered?
I don't know how many.
Well, you named one.
Okay.
Kelly Miller. This is back in 1993.
Wow.
Kelly Miller, Craig Simpson, Sergei Makarov.
Ooh.
Was another one.
I didn't know that one. That was nice.
Yes. And Kelly Miller was matched. Craig Simpson was invalidated, and Sergei Makarov was matched.
Okay.
And Hjalmarsson was matched.
Okay.
So they've never been successful.
Yeah.
The Sharks have been offer sheeted once. The other way around. Like some of their guys got offer sheeted once. The Dallas Stars offer sheeted Arturs Urbe.
Really?
And it was not matched back in 1996.
Wow.
That's it. That's the history of the Sharks.
Okay.
Crazy. Anyway.
So I like this question here from Bree Jones. I'm assuming it's Bree, not Bry, by the way. What do you think the longest contract Greer would sign? I think the longest contract, you're saying 4, aren't you?
4 is the most he's ever done.
Yeah.
And that was Toffoli, Benning. I think there was one more. Was it who he just traded? Cunnin? Did he have 4 or was it 3?
I don't think he had a 4-year contract.
I think it was 3.
Okay. I think 4 years is probably right about that. I mean, I think if push came to shove and it was, hey, I need 5 years, and it was a guy they really wanted, sure. But I just don't see them going for like a 7 year. Celebrini for 6 years. Yeah, no, Celebrini's going to be an 8 year. I think homegrown talent is different.
I don't think he'll be 8 right away.
Well, yeah, okay, sure. I'm
bridge.
saying the longest contract that he would offer someone.
Yes.
Absolutely, it's going to be Celebrini. Absolutely, it's going to be 8 years. But yes, maybe not right away because the salary cap goes up. For the player, you want to do a little bit of a bridge so that you can get to that where you're making the big money, right? If you did like an 8 year, $8 million or something like that because he's great, but not like superstar status just yet. That kind of holds him back from making the most money he could possibly be making. But, so what were you about to say now?
No, it's just interesting when you see other teams like Edmonton. They have McDavid and Draisaitl, right? Draisaitl is going to be paid more than McDavid, which is weird to think.
Yeah.
But it's because of the way their contract's staggered, in a way, right? McDavid is a free agent in 2 seasons from now. He's probably going to get bank. And now he has a smart agent because his contract ended when he knew the salary cap was going to have a big jump. So he's going to see a big jump in pay. So right now he's $12.5 million.
Yeah.
Draisaitl's extension kicks in next season at $14 million.
Crazy.
So, yeah, the Oilers are going to be in a tough spot in 2 seasons from now with McDavid's contract up. Yeah. Which is why I was saying you offer sheet Bouchard. Yeah. Which would be crazy because that's just going to even mess their books up even more. And they're going to have to make really hard decisions at that point.
They've got another ex-Shark on there, don't they? Ty Emberson.
I'd say there's a couple of Sharks on there.
Right-handed defenseman there.
Yeah, Ty Emberson, yes. He's another one.
Yeah. Not someone I would necessarily be banging on the door to get back, but anyway. I think it's not a bad call. I just don't know how realistic, again, it is that because we don't see offer sheets happening that often, And I almost wish it was more of a war zone. It'd be a whole lot more fun to watch, even if it didn't involve the Sharks, right? It'd be a whole lot more fun to watch when teams are offer sheeting each other for their RFAs and they start scrambling.
Like
right?
Carolina and Montreal a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Kotkaniemi.
Yes.
And Sebastian, I think it was Sebastian Aho that was offer sheeted. Somebody was offer sheeted by Montreal and Carolina was pissed
and it was retaliated.
And so they retaliated and got Kotkaniemi, and they did it based on the numbers that they used. It was so petty. It was like something about the original offer sheet coming
that came in
Aho from Montreal, and they did a play with it because they like offer sheeted Kotkaniemi for like $6 million or something like that.
Okay,
which at the time he was like a $2 or $3 million forward at best, and so they did it just out of spite, just because they knew they wouldn't be able to match it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, just crazy. Don't mess with Carolina. I mean, look at Rantanen, right? When he went in there, and he was just like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And they're like, fine, peace.
Yeah, done. Yeah. Okay. Anything else we want to say? I mean, were there any other big names that people were throwing out there?
The Blues did offer sheet Edmonton this last summer. That was one of the successful ones, and that was for Broberg, as a defenseman out of Edmonton that is now with St. Louis. Dylan Holloway was another one. Edmonton got offer sheeted twice by the Blues, by the way. Wow. They got 2 guys out of it. Here you go. Kotkaniemi. 1 year, $6.1 million. That was back in 2021. Because Sebastian Aho was offer sheeted that. It might have been his number. 61 his number? I don't know. Whatever. I'm not a Carolina fan that big. So, anyway, some other names. CJ, you guys are the best. It's really great to have a place where we can all vent our frustration and disappointment with the Sharks. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, CJ.
Seriously, I mean, that's kind of what we're here for, right? Like, it's again, the whole premise of the show is just we're friends talking with more friends. So, I mean, if this is where you guys want to vent frustrations, 100%, that's fantastic. I will say this. If you guys are looking for a pod that goes over individual games and whatnot and talking about individual players, again, I like this Professor Hockey guy. I don't really watch many guys at all, but sometimes I'll tune into him. And if you want just like a 15-20 minute like fire hose of like information about that game just happened, per game, he's a great watch. He almost reminds me of his face. He kind of looks like Logan Couture for some reason to me. I don't know. It's really weird. And I'm sure he would totally disagree, but to me, it just kind of looks a little... Anyway, it doesn't matter. If you're looking for something like that, again, I would say Professor Hockey is awesome. But yes, for a place to kind of just chat with buddies, this is definitely a great one. And again, if you go and reach out to your other Sharks friends and family, get them in the chat, it makes it just that much more fun. Yes, get Vinny Desharnais in here. Why not? He looks like he's a nice guy in a Sharks uniform.
Fit.
He's
6'7".
He blocked the whole screen back here. Jeez. There you go. Professor Hockey is absolutely like Kellen Foster likes him too. So there you go. I mean, honestly, we don't mind pumping other guys that deserve it. So that is what it is. CJ says, I honestly look forward to the cutaways and running gags, the Cutter voice. Yeah, there you go. Every week. Yeah, I know we have a lot of fun with it. It's too bad some of the guys that we've had those running gags with have been moved away, like a Cunnin, right, with the garbage collector slide. Yeah. You know, I do want to say one thing before we move on to the upcoming games here. Is with we talked about running gags and whatnot, and that was with
so many.
Noah Gregor, actually, with the jersey thing, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing with Noah Gregor, of course, that I was saying he's not a 10-goal scorer. He's a guy that's going to get you, at most 9 or whatever else, right? And so I lost that bet that one year, the only year he ever scored 10 goals, and he got a hat trick at the very last game of the season, which was fantastic. I'm not
taking anything
How
many of our fans were just typing at us on social media, like, oh!
So he hit 10 in the last game off of a hat trick, which should have never happened, but it did, and I'm happy for him. And so, of course, my punishment was that Aaron got me the jersey, and I was able to go and get it signed by him when he was playing for Ottawa, which is hilarious. But that jersey is a little out of date now. See, number 73, Noah Gregor. Now, again, Tyler Toffoli is now number 73 on this team. So I had him sign a jersey with his old number. Now he's back with the Sharks. The jersey's completely...
number 9?
It's out of date. Hilariously, yes. He's number 9.
Yeah.
Why do you think he picked number 9, Aaron?
Because it's a fast number.
No, because he watches our show and he loves it and he doesn't get butthurt that I'm saying that he's not a 10-goal scorer. That is why he chose number 9. There you go. That is the new running gag on the show.
Well, Shang, if I knew that answer, then we would have started off better.
I put that together the other day. I was like, you know what? He's number 9. Anyway.
Get on with it.
Oh, come on.
Get on with it.
Get on with it. Get on with it.
Geez.
Yes.
Get on with it. We shall get on with it then, Aaron.
I love that montage.
It is.
Get on with it.
I love that guy too. He's fantastic. All right, upcoming games. We got 3, and it starts on a Tuesday instead of a Thursday. How about that?
On a Tuesday.
Tuesday in Anaheim, 7 p.m. Then Thursday against Edmonton at home. Saturday against Seattle at home. Aaron, I think these are beatable teams except maybe Edmonton.
Yeah, I think the Anaheim game is going to be a good bounce back.
Yeah.
They're already down in LA, so they're going to stay down there and bus it to Anaheim, probably even tonight. So they're going to have a day of practice tomorrow. Might even be a bag skate, who knows? And then playing Anaheim on Tuesday. And I fully expect them to have a much tighter, less sloppier game against the Ducks. The Ducks are a much more improved team. This is they're about a year or two ahead of where the Sharks are in the rebuild. And you can see it in the standings. They're already above Seattle as well. So they're climbing the standings. They're kind of like they're not in the playoffs picture.
Yeah, they're outside the bubble by a bit though, aren't they?
But they're up there. Like they're respectable, right? It's a hard team. Their skill is really coming together. I mean, adding Cutter Gauthier has been tremendous for them. They kind of got lucky. What's up? The forever 9-goal scorer Noah Gregor, except the 1 year he got 10.
Remember Brycar.
Can you fit that on the back of the jersey?
On the nameplate?
Right, the nameplate.
It would be like one nameplate.
Really small, really.
And then on return line down and go again.
Oh, man, that'd be amazing.
Well done, Brycar.
Anyway, I could see the Sharks doing well against the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah.
Maybe not pulling off a win, but it'll be a much closer game, I think. Edmonton, though.
Okay, pause.
Oh, go ahead.
It's hard to not have a closer game. You just lost 6-1 and 8-1 back to back.
Well, they could do it again.
Oh, yeah, they could. I'm just saying it's hard.
All right.
Right? Especially against Anaheim. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we see them bounce back in that game.
Okay.
So, Edmonton, though. Edmonton at home. It'll be a nice game to go to on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
To come see McDavid.
Is he still injured?
Is not back. Yeah, they just said tonight he's not back yet. Draisaitl is back. Just came back. So at least Draisaitl will be there.
And future Shark Evan Bouchard.
Right.
You
Yes,
get
he
to
can
watch
go
him.
scout Evan Bouchard out in the game. So that'll be a good game on Thursday. Obviously, I don't think the Sharks are going to win that one.
Okay.
I could be wrong. But I just don't think it's going to happen. And then
But
Saturday,
they just beat the Eastern All-Stars, okay?
it's true.
They beat Toronto.
They did.
What's the look for?
Just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Now, the Pacific Division is kind of locked up right now.
Okay.
It goes Vegas, Kings, Oilers, 98, 89, 89.
Okay.
The next in the division, Vancouver, is 81 points, a full 8 points behind.
Yeah.
I just don't see them making up the difference, at least getting in. So I think the Oilers are safe. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they do start to bench some of these players that are hurt, banged up, to get ready for the playoffs because there's not going to be much movement. They could maybe try and win. They're not going to catch Vegas. They're not going to win out the division. So it's just kind of leapfrogging between the Kings and the Oilers here of seedings in a way.
Would be nice for the Oilers to pull ahead of the Kings, at least secure a home advantage.
Right. That's about what they're playing for, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
I do wonder if they're going to start their backup, though. Because we talked about this in years past as well.
Yes. Maybe. Maybe they want to get some more games in for who's it, Skinner?
Well,
I think is their
get
starter.
some more games in for him, but maybe get a little bit more rest for the other guy, right? So,
Right. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Anyway.
Going into Saturday is against Seattle at home. So that'll be a fun one. That's a 7 p.m. start. Anaheim's also a 7 p.m. start, not 7:30. So for those of you watching on TV, be sure to catch it earlier because it's not a 7:30 start. Seattle game, I could fully see the Sharks coming out and beating Seattle. But Seattle is just so boring. So boring to watch. They just have no star power whatsoever. It's just a bunch of dudes playing hockey that are not bad,
The Seattle
but not
beer
good.
leaguers.
Yeah, the Seattle okayers.
The Seattle beer leaguers who are still above the Sharks in the standings.
Well, everybody's above the Sharks.
I
in the
know
standings.
that.
Yeah, they're not
Anyway.
even. Yeah, whatever. I just like they're just so they're vanilla. Their Seattle vanilla team is coming into play on Saturday. I could see. I hope the Sharks can beat them. At least get another win in the win column because it doesn't really matter. Now it is close. They're only 2 points behind the Blackhawks.
Okay.
So there's a chance that they could leapfrog.
Well, we
Chicago.
also have 2 more games in hand, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah. The Blackhawks are 1-9 in their last 10 games.
oof.
The Sharks are 4-6. Like it's not great.
Oh, yeah,
but-
no, we're taking off like a Falcon
Right.
9, buddy.
But still, like that's they're not 0-10,
Yeah,
right? They're not worse than Chicago.
Right.
So there's a chance.
Yeah. Again, I don't even have a problem if Chicago gets basement and
Right.
takes the number 1 overall. I mean, realistically, again, there's the consensus top 4 guys, right? And even without those consensus top 4, I'd be even happy trading down and picking up Eklund's little brother, right?
Yes.
So I would have no problem with that whatsoever. Yes, it'd be nice to have one of those higher end talents. Again, those top 4 guys, but in a season where nobody's really the consensus number 1, I think you can roll the dice just a little bit and it'd still be okay. Plus, you still reserve the ability to be first overall next season, which maybe you're not at the bottom of the standings, but at least you could win the lottery and still get there.
Do you think Greer wants to do right by Eklund because of the Zetterlund trade to get his brother and really make him happy?
I don't think
Eklund
he
had a
cares.
really hard time when Zetterlund got
Honestly, I don't think he cares that much. It's still a business. I don't think he feels like he owes anybody anything.
I agree.
But I think if you make William Eklund happy having his little brother on the team too, that's going to do a lot for this team going forward.
If it comes down to it, right? Like if there's 2 guys that you really want, Eklund's brother or one other one, maybe it leans just a little more towards Eklund's brother.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
No, I'm not spitballing. I'm saying I want the kid, you know? I watched him play. In World Juniors, I think. I watched him play. The kid is fantastic. The other Swedish guy, I think they even played on the same team, was Anton Frondell. Mm-hmm. He's supposed to be higher up than Eklund was. Now, again, small sample size, right? I only saw a little bit. But the way that these guys are playing the game, I'll take Eklund all day long. And if he's got the same work ethic that his brother does, and I guarantee you he does, right? And the two of them together, they're just going to push each other even harder. Oh, that's going to be nasty.
It's like the Hughes brothers in New Jersey.
Yeah, like them,
Jack
or
and Luke.
I mean, like the twins in Vancouver, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the Sedin twins. Again, that there's a dynamic there. You know, they grow up playing together. They know each other. They love each other. They go out and they'll play for each other. If anybody jumps one of them, I guarantee the other one is throwing down. Right? I don't know. There's something to be said, especially when you're talking not just brothers in the league, but high talent brothers in the league. They got that dog in them like that. Oh hell yeah, I'm all about that. So if we're able to pick him up, I would love to do that. Now I wouldn't pick him with the number 2 overall pick, right?
That's
but
probably where they're going to be.
Right, but I mean, if it meant you could trade your other first
Right.
and a second to package it and get to there to where you can get him, I absolutely would. That's me.
He's going to go in the top 10.
I think everybody's
Late
got
top
him
10.
going, like, at first they had him in, like, the top, like, 15, 20.
Yeah.
And then it kind of pulled, and he was, like, in, like, the top 8 at some point or whatever it was. And one of the YouTubers even had him in, like, the top 5 at one point, which he's just a YouTuber. But, I mean, the guy kind of knows his stuff, too.
We're just YouTubers.
Absolutely, you know. So, I think it was Gravite was the dude.
Get on with it.
What?
Get on with it.
Oh, my God.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Get on with it. Yes. Get on with it.
It's the missing tooth and the overhead vent that always
Nason.
gets me with Nason.
Yeah.
Anyway. But, yes, 100%. I would love to see them take the brother.
All right. Last thing here.
Yeah.
Trophy at the top.
Yeah.
We are in playoffs right now for fantasy hockey. Round 1 is over. Congratulations to Nicholas Dirty Celebrini, is his team name, and Steve, Father Thornton's children, for winning their matchups and moving on to the semifinals against. Nicholas is going to play Graham, friend of the show, and Steve is going to play me. Me and Graham had buys this week because we finished 1 and 2. So it is not fixed. I worked my tail off. All right, I was the highest scoring team in the entire league.
Yeah.
But I was in second place. No, I was in second. Anyway, I saw earlier in the chat, Steve was in the chat, and he was saying he's playing against me. So no good luck to you, Steve. But good luck to Nicholas and I forgot who the other one was playing. Graham. Good luck to you guys.
Graham is Graham Slam for those of you guys who know him in the chat.
Right, and that is also his name. Fantasy hockey.
Oh, yeah,
Graham,
yeah, okay.
Graham Slammers. But he forgot the extra M, so it's Graham Slammers.
Graham's Lamers.
Right.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm just pulling them all out today. Rigged, says Nick B. Fantastic. Aaron, any last comments in here that you want to pull out? We've had a lot of discussion going on. I love it.
CJ real quick was saying, did you notice that the NHL's been doing a lot of posts from the 2000, the century, or quarter century team?
Yeah.
So they're celebrating 25 years
Right.
of the last 25 years, and there's a lot of Shark stuff.
25 years of the last 25 years.
Sorry, the last 25 years. They're celebrating 25 years since 2000, whatever.
Oh, I can't lie. It was, a lot last, month, and
I'm sorry.
It is late.
I brought this upon you.
It is late. So there's a lot of Thornton, a lot of Marlowe, a lot of
Yeah.
a bunch of other guys,
Sure.
Pavelski, but yeah, it's cool to see. It's brings the I can't even
The feels?
Can't even talk. The feels.
Yeah.
The nostalgia.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
what I was looking for of the heyday of the Sharks. Even though they didn't win a cup, at least they were there.
Can we invite Kristi Yamaguchi to do the get on with it?
Oh, no. I don't think so. But what I was going to say
reaction.
is
Oh,
I saw the last 25 years, the top teams that have won the most playoff
Okay.
rounds.
Yeah.
The Sharks were like number 4
Yeah.
of the top 10. All 9 other teams have won a cup.
Yeah.
The Sharks are the only ones that didn't. It's like, oh, it's so sad. So sad.
Just a lot of playoff success.
You know who wasn't on
for
that
the
list,
ultimate
though?
prize. Who?
Toronto Maple Leafs. Which just makes me happy. Oh, I love it.
I still love the whole joke behind, everybody's got their rival. Like the Sharks had the Kings rivalry for a long time. The Sharks then, for a brief moment, we had the Vegas rivalry for a bit there. And of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs' biggest rival is the first round.
Yes.
Yes, and they consistently get beat by the first round.
Yes.
So it's fun. It's so much fun to constantly see.
haven't even been
and
to
they
the-
lost to the Sharks this week.
They haven't even been to the finals since they won the cup in 67. That's bananas. There was way less teams in 1967 than there are now. It's just gotten harder.
Yeah.
Oh, I want that to go another 100 years. I think that would I just love stuff like that. Like when the Cubs didn't win the World Series for a long time, for like 100-something years. Like, I just want that to keep going. It's great.
Well, I'll tell you who doesn't want him to keep going is Super Producer Jason. He's ready to go to bed right now. We're going to go ahead and call it here. Guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in, making this a whole lot of fun. Again, get more of your friends and family into the chat here next time around as well. It's a blast. We love having the comments from you guys. You guys give us things to kind of new topics we weren't even thinking about talking about during the show. So sometimes we have things on the fly and it gets us thinking. So it sparks a good conversation. Thank you for doing that. Yes, if you were enjoying the stream, please do hit that like button. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that a couple of ways. One, of course, right there on your screen. Tip us on Venmo at The Fin Factor. You can also use the super chat function. And there he is putting up. He's on point tonight. You can also go to thefinfactor.com, pick up the hat that's going to get you the cat calls like we talked about. Right? There it is. Fantastic. All kinds of other stuff there too. Shirts, hats, whatever else we have. We have tons of stuff there. Check it all out. I think we're going to have some new stuff. We have Vinny Darnay apparently. You could buy a date with Vinny Darnay. We have some new stuff coming soon, I think. He's nodding, yes. So if you've already bought out everything and you're repping it all, rest assured we will have socks and whatever else coming, I'm sure, soon enough. So there it is. Appreciate you guys supporting the show any which way you can. Fantastic. What are you laughing about?
Nothing.
No?
No.
Okay. Did I say something wrong?
No.
Okay.
You're fine.
Good. Fantastic. All right. What?
I just got a couple things.
Okay, go ahead.
Real quick.
That's why I said what. Go ahead.
Did you see the filthy shootout goal? I did.
I did.
And I was sitting behind the goal, and you can go to our Instagram account and see both Will Smith and Celebrini's goal. Second thing, playoffs are going for fantasy hockey. We might have a few openings next season. If you are interested, email us at thefinfactor@gmail.com. Say fantasy hockey, and I'll get in touch with you. Possible openings might be one or two. It's a keeper league, so if you are familiar with fantasy hockey and want to join a keeper league, a lot of fun, good group of people, very active chats. In fact, I think half of our league is usually in this chat during our lives, so very familiar faces and names. But yeah, if you're interested, email us.
Bree Jones says, happy to catch you guys live. Great night, guys. Hey, happy to have you in here, and happy we could share the 8-1 loss that just occurred with you. So I know misery.
Extremely disappointing. Downright embarrassing.
Misery loves company, so happy to have you here. Okay, if that's all, we're good?
That's it.
Okay, guys, thanks again. Episode 245 in the books. For Super Producer Jason, I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
And we will see you guys
Next week.
Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive